The deck is covered in blood. The man beside you collapses after a pistol shot tears through his chest. Pirates scream. Smoke fills the air. The ship is burning. Around you, men are fighting and dying. You grip your cutlass so tightly your hands shake. Only a few minutes ago, you dreamed of treasure. Now you are wondering if you will survive the next few seconds. And the worst part? 3 months ago. None of this had happened yet. You are 17 years old, hungry, exhausted, and completely out of options. The harbor smells of fish, salt, and rotting wood. Seagulls circle overhead. Ships creak against old wooden docks. Merchants shout. Sailors argue. Workers carry heavy cargo beneath the burning sun. For everyone around you, it is just another ordinary day. For you, it feels like the beginning of the end. You haven't eaten properly in days, not because food does not exist, because you cannot afford it. Every coin matters. And lately, there have been very few coins. Your family was never wealthy. Most families aren't. But things have become worse. Much worse. Work is difficult to find. Employers choose stronger men, older men. Men with experience. Men who already have connections. You have none of those things. Each morning begins the same way. You wake up. You search for work. You are rejected. Then you do it all again the next day. At first, you believed things would improve. You believed hard work would be enough. You believed patience would eventually be rewarded. Now you are no longer sure. The world feels unfair, and hunger makes everything feel worse. As you walk through the harbor, you notice a crowd gathering near one of the taverns. Men are laughing, drinking, talking loudly. That is unusual. Most people here cannot afford to waste money. Curious, you move closer. Several sailors stand near the entrance. Weathered faces, scarred hands, expensive pistols hanging from their belts. They look different from ordinary workers. More confident, more dangerous. One of them notices you. "You looking for work, boy?" The question immediately catches your attention. Work. That single word feels more valuable than gold. You nod. The sailor grins. "Then maybe you're in luck." The men nearby laugh, not kindly, almost as if they know something you do not. The sailor gestures toward a ship anchored in the harbor. At first glance, it looks impressive. Large sails, heavy cannons, a powerful vessel capable of crossing entire oceans. You imagine adventure, freedom, opportunity. You imagine finally escaping poverty. The sailor continues speaking. Food every day. That alone gets your attention. A share of the treasure. Treasure. The word feels almost magical. You have spent your entire life struggling for survival. The idea of wealth seems impossible. The sailor notices your reaction. He smiles again. "More money than you've ever seen." The offer sounds too good to be true, because it is. But you do not know that yet. All you see is opportunity, a chance to change your life. Around you, other young men seem interested too. Hungry men, desperate men, men with nowhere else to go. Exactly the kind of men the sailor is looking for. You ask what kind of ship it is. The sailor pauses, only for a second. Then he answers. "A merchant vessel." The lie sounds convincing. You want to believe it. So you do. Hours later, you stand on the dock, staring at the ship. Your small bag contains everything you own. A few clothes, a knife, a handful of coins. Nothing more. You tell yourself this is temporary. A short voyage, a chance to earn money, a chance to build a future. You have no idea how wrong you are. As the crew prepares to depart, you take one final look toward the town. toward the streets you know, toward the life you are leaving behind. For a moment, uncertainty fills your chest. Something feels wrong. Something feels dangerous. But hunger is stronger than fear. So you step aboard. The ropes are released. The sails unfold. The ship begins moving away from the harbor. Slowly at first, then faster. The shoreline grows smaller. The town fades into the distance. And standing on the deck, watching your old life disappear beyond the horizon, you suddenly realize something. If this voyage goes badly, there will be nobody coming to save you. The ocean stretches endlessly in every direction. And somewhere ahead, your nightmare is waiting. The first day at sea feels almost peaceful. The harbor disappears behind the horizon. The endless ocean stretches in every direction. For a moment, you allow yourself to dream. Maybe this voyage really will change your life. Maybe the sailor was telling the truth. Maybe fortune is finally smiling on you. The crew works constantly, pulling ropes, adjusting sails, cleaning the deck, shouting orders you barely understand. You do your best to help, trying to prove you belong, trying to avoid trouble, trying to earn your place. But something feels strange. The sailors are not like ordinary merchant sailors. They are rougher, harder, more dangerous. Many carry scars, not the kind earned from hard labor, the kind earned from violence. One man has lost an eye, another is missing several fingers, a third has a deep scar running across his throat. None of them speak much about their past, and when they do, the stories never sound legal. By the second day, your doubts begin growing. You notice weapons everywhere, far more weapons than any merchant ship should need. Pistols, cutlasses, axes, knives. Some are hidden beneath tarps, others are stored below deck. The captain certainly does not behave like a merchant either. He rarely talks about trade, rarely talks about cargo, rarely talks about destinations. Instead, he spends hours studying maps, watching the horizon, and speaking quietly with his officers. The atmosphere aboard the ship feels tense, like everyone is waiting for something. Then, on the third night, you hear an argument. Two sailors are fighting near the bow. One accuses the other of stealing. The other denies it. The argument lasts only seconds. Then a pistol appears. The entire deck falls silent. No warning, no trial, no discussion. The captain simply steps forward, takes the weapon away, and throws the accused sailor into chains. The message is clear. Disobedience will not be tolerated. Fear spreads through the crew, including you, because for the first time, you realize something. If something happens out here, there is nowhere to run. The ocean surrounds you. The crew surrounds you. The captain controls everything, and you are completely alone. That night, sleep becomes difficult. The ship creaks in the darkness. Waves crash against the hull. The wind whistles through the sails. Then you hear footsteps. Quiet footsteps. Curious, you leave your hammock and follow the sound. A group of sailors has gathered near the stern, speaking in whispers. One of them unrolls a black flag. Your stomach tightens. You recognize the symbol immediately. A skull, crossed bones, the mark that terrifies every sailor on the sea, the mark of pirates. Suddenly everything makes sense. The weapons, the lies, the captain, the secrecy. You were never hired onto a merchant vessel. You were recruited onto a pirate ship. Your heart begins racing. You think about jumping overboard, running, escaping. But there is nowhere to go. Only dark water. Only open sea. Only hundreds of miles separating you from safety. For a long moment you stare at the flag. unable to move, unable to speak. Then one of the sailors notices you. A slow smile spreads across his face. Now you know. The others laugh. Not because it is funny, because they have seen this reaction before. Many times. You wanted adventure. You wanted money. You wanted freedom. Instead, you have become a pirate. The next morning, nothing feels the same. The ocean is still beautiful, the sky is still blue, the ship still moves peacefully across the waves. But now you know the truth. You are aboard a pirate ship, and suddenly everything looks different. The men who seemed confident now seem dangerous. The pistols no longer look impressive, they look deadly. The laughter no longer sounds friendly, it sounds threatening. For the first time since leaving the harbor, you wish you had stayed home. Poor, hungry, desperate. Anything would have been better than this. But regret changes nothing. The sea does not care about regret. The days quickly become miserable, far worse than you imagined. The food is terrible. Hard biscuits so dry they almost break your teeth. Salted meat that smells questionable. Water stored in barrels for weeks, sometimes months. By the third day, the water tastes strange. By the fifth day, it tastes worse. But you drink it anyway, because there is no alternative. Then comes the seasickness. At first, you think you can handle it. You are wrong. The ship rises and falls constantly, day and night, without stopping, without mercy. Your stomach twists. Your head spins. You struggle to stand. Many new crew members spend hours leaning over the side of the ship, vomiting, weak, humiliated. The older pirates laugh. They have seen it countless times before. One sailor slaps you on the back as you stumble across the deck. Get used to it. The words are not comforting, because you quickly realize he is right. The ocean controls everything: your sleep, your food, your comfort, your survival. Then the storm arrives. The sky darkens without warning. The wind grows stronger. The waves grow larger. At first, the crew remains calm. You do not. The ship begins climbing enormous walls and water, then crashing down the other side. Again, and again, and again. Rain lashes your face. The deck becomes slippery. The masts groan violently. For hours it feels as if the ocean is trying to tear the ship apart. You grip a rope so tightly your hands bleed, terrified that one mistake could throw you overboard. One sailor notices your fear. If you fall, he says calmly, we won't come back for you. Then he walks away. The sentence stays with you, because you know he means it. Out here, a single mistake can kill you. The storm eventually passes, but life aboard the ship does not improve. Rats seem to be everywhere. Inside food barrels, inside storage rooms, inside hammocks. At night, you hear them moving through the darkness, scratching, scurrying, watching. Sleep becomes difficult, not because of the rats, not because of the waves, because of fear. You fear the captain, you fear the crew, you fear the ocean, you fear what might happen tomorrow. Then one evening, as the sun disappears beyond the horizon, the captain calls everyone onto the deck. The crew gathers immediately. Silent, focused. Something has changed. You can feel it. The officers are smiling. The sailors seem excited, almost eager. The captain raises a telescope toward the horizon, then lowers it again. A grin slowly spreads across his face. Ship spotted. The crew erupts with excitement, but your stomach drops, because for the first time, you understand exactly what that means. The mood aboard the ship changes instantly. Only moments ago, the crew seemed tired. Now they are alive. focused, excited, like predators that have finally spotted prey. The captain points toward the horizon. At first, you see nothing, only endless ocean, blue water stretching in every direction. Then you notice it, a tiny shape, far away, barely visible, a ship. The crew immediately gets to work. Orders echo across the deck. Sailors run to their positions. Ropes are tightened. Sails are adjusted. The pirate ship begins moving faster. Much faster. The target remains unaware. For now. One of the pirates hands you a pistol. The weapon feels heavy in your hands. Heavier than you expected. You stare at it silently. You have never fired a pistol before. Never fought in a battle. Never killed anyone. The pirate notices your hesitation. First time? You nod. The man laughs. Don't worry. He pauses. You'll either learn fast, his grin widens, or die fast. The surrounding pirates laugh. You do not. Below deck, men begin preparing weapons. Cutlasses are sharpened. Pistols are loaded. Powder is measured carefully. Axes are distributed. Everywhere you look, preparations are underway. Nobody seems afraid, which somehow makes you even more afraid, because these men have done this before, many times. To them, this is normal. To you, it feels like a nightmare. As the hours pass, the distance between the two ships shrinks. The merchant vessel becomes clearer, larger, closer. You can now see people moving across its deck. Ordinary sailors, workers, men who woke up expecting an ordinary day. A strange feeling settles in your stomach, because only a few months ago, you were one of them. Poor, desperate, trying to survive. Now you are hunting them. The realization makes you uncomfortable, but nobody else seems bothered. One pirate is already talking about treasure. Another discusses valuable cargo. Another wonders how many prisoners they might take. To them, the merchant ship is not full of people. It is an opportunity. The captain continues watching through his telescope, waiting, calculating, planning. Then he gives a new order. The black flag is raised. The merchant vessel notices immediately. Chaos erupts aboard the target ship. You can see sailors running, pointing, shouting. They know exactly what the flag means. Pirates. Fear spreads across their deck just as quickly as excitement spreads across yours. The chase has become a race. The merchant ship tries to escape. But it is too late. Your ship is faster, stronger, built for this exact purpose. Minute by minute, the gap closes. You can now hear distant shouting from the other vessel. Your heart pounds. The closer you get, the more real everything becomes. This is no longer a story, no longer an adventure, no longer a dream of treasure. This is violence, and you are about to become part of it. The pirates gather along the rails, weapons ready, faces grim. Even the laughter has stopped, because now comes the dangerous part. Now comes the killing. The captain slowly draws his sword. The entire crew watches him, waiting. The merchant ship is only a short distance away, close enough to see fear in the eyes of the men aboard, close enough to hear them shouting, close enough to die. The captain raises his blade toward the enemy vessel. Then he gives the order. Prepare to board. The moment has arrived. There is no more waiting, no more preparation, no more imagining what might happen. The merchant ship fills your entire view now, close enough to see individual faces, close enough to hear terrified voices carried across the water. The men aboard know exactly what is coming. Some desperately adjust sails, others load weapons, others simply stare at your ship in fear, because everyone knows what happens when pirates catch you. The captain raises his sword. Fire! The first cannon explodes. The blast shakes the entire ship. Smoke fills the air. The sound is deafening. Then another cannon fires, and another, and another. Within seconds, both ships disappear behind clouds of smoke. Wood splinters fly through the air. Men scream. Chaos erupts. You freeze. Everything is happening too fast. This is nothing like the stories, nothing like the tavern tales, nothing like the adventure you imagined. This is terrifying. The merchant ship returns fire. A cannonball crashes through part of the railing. Wood explodes around you. Fragments fly past your face. One pirate beside you falls instantly. You stare at him. Only moments ago he was laughing, talking, breathing. Now he lies motionless on the deck. Your stomach twists. Death suddenly feels very real. The ships continue closing the distance. Closer, closer, closer. Then comes the sound every pirate waits for. The crash. The two vessels slam together. The impact throws several men off balance. The decks shake violently. The ships groan as wood crashes against wood. Immediately, grappling hooks fly through the air. Heavy iron hooks bite into the merchant ship. Ropes tighten. The vessels become locked together. There is no escape now, for either side. The pirates roar with excitement. Weapons are drawn. Pistols, axes, cutlasses. Your hands tremble. You grip your weapon so tightly your fingers hurt. The captain turns toward the crew. His face shows no fear, only determination. Board them! The pirates charge. Suddenly, men are climbing over the rails, jumping onto the enemy ship, screaming battle cries, firing pistols, swinging blades. You hesitate, only for a second. Then the crowd behind you pushes forward. Before you can think, you find yourself crossing onto the merchant vessel. The deck is complete chaos, smoke everywhere, men fighting at arm's length, pistols firing, steel clashing against steel. Someone screams nearby, someone else falls. You barely understand what is happening. A merchant sailor rushes toward you, weapon raised. Panic fills your chest. Without thinking, you swing your cutlass. The sailor stumbles backward, disappearing into the chaos. You don't even know if you hit him. You only know that you are fighting for your life. Around you, the battle grows more violent, more desperate, more brutal. The excitement from earlier is gone, completely gone. Only fear remains. Then suddenly, a pistol fires nearby. A pirate standing beside you collapses instantly. Blood spreading across the deck. For a moment, time seems to stop. The image burns itself into your memory. This is not adventure. This is not freedom. This is survival. And the battle has only just begun. The battle only grows worse. Everywhere you look, men are fighting, screaming, bleeding, dying. The deck has become a nightmare. Smoke hangs in the air. The smell of gunpowder burns your nose. Blood mixes with seawater beneath your feet. The wooden planks have become slippery, dangerously slippery. You nearly lose your footing as two men crash into each other nearby, both swinging wildly, both terrified, both desperate to survive. This is not a heroic duel. There is no honor here, no glory, no grand adventure, only fear. The kind of fear that makes men do terrible things. A pistol fires somewhere behind you, then another, then another. The sounds are deafening. You can barely hear your own thoughts. A wounded sailor crawls across the deck, begging for help, begging for mercy. Nobody stops. Nobody even looks, because everyone is fighting their own battle. Everyone is trying not to become the next body lying on the deck. You push forward through the chaos. Then suddenly you see him. a young merchant sailor, not much older than you. His face is filled with terror. For a moment, your eyes meet, and something uncomfortable hits you. He looks exactly like the person you were 3 months ago. Poor, young, scared. The only difference is that today, you are the pirate. Before you can react, another pirate rushes past you. The merchant sailor disappears beneath the chaos. You never see him again. The battle continues, minute after minute. Then something changes. A shout rises from the far side of the ship. Fire! For a second, nobody understands. Then you see it. Flames. Small at first. A burning lantern has fallen during the fighting. The fire begins spreading across part of the deck. The dry wood catches quickly, far too quickly. Panic spreads immediately. The battle becomes even more chaotic. Now men are fighting both each other. And the fire. Smoke thickens. Visibility drops. The heat rises rapidly. Suddenly, a pistol shot echoes through the smoke. The pirate standing beside you jerks backward. The bullet tears through his chest. For a moment, he simply stares ahead, confused. Then he collapses. Blood spreads across the deck. You freeze. This is the exact moment from your nightmare. The moment you will remember for the rest of your life. The burning ship, the smoke, the screams, the dying men. Only a few months ago, you dreamed of treasure. Now you are wondering whether you will survive the next few seconds. The flames continue spreading. The merchant crew finally begins surrendering. Weapons drop to the deck. Hands rise into the air. Some pirates cheer. Others continue looting immediately. The battle is over, but the horror remains. Bodies lie everywhere. Friends, enemies, strangers. The deck is covered with the cost of victory, and standing in the middle of the destruction, you realized something. The treasure is real. The gold is real. The victory is real. But none of it feels worth this. None of it feels worth the fear, the blood, the death. For the first time since joining the crew, you no longer dream about becoming rich. You only dream about surviving. The battle is over. But the celebration never feels the way you imagined. The pirates cheer, they laugh, they count coins, they carry crates of stolen cargo across the deck. A few days ago, you would have joined them. A few days ago, treasure was all you could think about. Now all you see are the bodies. The deck has been cleaned, most of the blood washed away by seawater. But the memories remain. Every time you close your eyes, you see the battle again. The smoke, the gunshots, the dying sailor beside you. The crew receives its share of the loot. For the first time in your life, you hold more money than you have ever owned. Yet something feels strange. The gold should make you happy. Instead, it makes you uncomfortable, because now you understand where it came from. The wounded receive no special treatment. A pirate with a deep cut across his arm is ordered back to work. Another with broken ribs struggles to climb the rigging. A third sailor coughs blood into a rag. Nobody stops. Nobody rests. The ship keeps moving. The ocean keeps moving. Life keeps moving. Pirates cannot afford weakness. One morning, the captain gathers the crew. A sailor has died during the night. Not from battle, not from a gunshot, from infection. A small wound became a deadly one. The ocean offers very little medicine, very little mercy. The crew wraps the body in cloth, adds a few weights, and carries him to the edge of the ship. Nobody gives a long speech. Nobody cries. The body disappears beneath the waves, gone forever. Within minutes, work resumes, as if he never existed. The sight disturbs you more than you expected. because the crew has seen this before, many times. To them, death has become ordinary. Weeks pass. The ship continues sailing, searching for new targets, searching for new treasure, searching for new victims. But another enemy begins appearing: disease. Men start coughing. Others develop fevers. Some can barely stand. The cramped conditions make everything worse. Dozens of men sleeping close together. Limited food, dirty water, constant exhaustion. The pirate life that once seemed exciting now feels miserable. The crew begins changing. Arguments become more common. Fights break out over food, over money, over insults, over nothing at all. The tension grows with every passing day. Nobody fully trusts anyone, because every pirate aboard understands one thing: the greatest danger is not always an enemy ship. Sometimes the greatest danger is the man sleeping beside you. One evening, you sit alone near the stern, watching the sun disappear beyond the horizon. The ocean is calm, beautiful, peaceful, yet you feel less safe than ever. You think about home, about the harbor, about the life you left behind. You remember how desperately you wanted adventure. Now you finally have it, and you hate it. Because the stories never mentioned this part. They never mentioned the sickness, the fear, the funerals, the loneliness. They only talked about treasure. Standing on the deck as darkness settles across the sea, you realize a terrible truth. Pirate life is not killing men quickly. It is killing them slowly, one voyage at a time. The treasure does not bring peace. It brings suspicion. Every pirate watches everyone else, counting coins, watching hands, listening to conversations. Greed changes people. You begin to notice it every day. Small arguments become violent. Simple misunderstandings end with knives being drawn. Old friendships disappear. Trust becomes more valuable than gold. One evening, two pirates accuse each other of hiding part of the treasure. The argument quickly grows louder. Shouts become threats. Threats become punches. Before anyone can stop them, one man pulls a knife. The fight lasts only seconds. When it ends, one pirate is bleeding on the deck. The other is dragged away in chains. The captain watches everything without emotion. "Steal from the crew," he says quietly, "and you'll wish the sea had taken you instead." Nobody speaks. Nobody challenges him. You begin to understand something. The captain is feared far more than he is respected. That night, whispers spread through the ship. Quiet conversations, hidden meetings, suspicious glances. You hear a word repeated again and again: mutiny. At first, you refuse to believe it. Then you notice the officers sleeping with loaded pistols beside them. The captain rarely eats before someone else tastes his food. He trusts no one anymore, not even the men who have sailed beside him for years. Paranoia has become part of daily life. A few mornings later, a lookout suddenly shouts from the mast, "Sails!" The entire crew rushes onto the deck. The captain grabs his telescope. His confident expression disappears almost instantly. Not a merchant ship, not another pirate, a naval warship, pirate hunters. Silence falls across the deck. Nobody celebrates. Nobody smiles. These are trained soldiers, armed, disciplined, relentless. They are hunting one thing: you. The captain immediately gives orders. "More sail!" The crew runs into action. Ropes tighten, canvas stretches. The ship leans hard as it catches the wind. For hours, the chase continues. Every man aboard keeps looking over his shoulder, watching the warship slowly closing the distance. The ocean suddenly feels much smaller. There is nowhere to hide, No city to disappear into, no forest to escape through, only open water. You realize something terrifying. Merchant ships feared pirates, but pirates fear the Navy. The hunters have become the hunted. As night finally falls, darkness hides your ship just enough. The warship slowly disappears beyond the horizon. For now, you have escaped. But nobody celebrates. Everyone understands the truth. The Navy will return, again and again, until one day they will catch someone. Standing alone at the stern, staring into the endless black ocean, you finally understand what nobody told you back at the harbor. Pirates do not retire peacefully. They do not grow old surrounded by treasure. Most die in battle. Some die from disease. Some kill each other. And the lucky ones spend the rest of their lives running. For the first time since stepping aboard this ship, you stop thinking about how to become rich. You begin thinking about something much simpler. How to stay alive long enough to see land again. Weeks turn into months. The excitement that once filled the ship has disappeared. Nobody talks about adventure anymore. Nobody dreams about treasure. The only thing anyone talks about now is survival. The food grows scarcer every week. The barrels that once seemed endless are nearly empty. The biscuits have become harder. The meat smells worse than ever. Even the rats seem thinner. Water is rationed carefully. Every cup matters. Every drop is counted. Arguments break out over the smallest things. A piece of bread, a sip of water, a blanket during a cold night. Hunger changes people. Good men become selfish. Calm men become violent. Friends become strangers. One morning, you wake to complete silence. No shouting, no laughter, no singing. Only the sound of waves. Several crew members are too weak to leave their hammocks. Some are burning with fever. Others cough endlessly. The ship no longer feels like a crew. It feels like a floating prison. You walk across the deck, the same deck that once echoed with confidence. Now it is filled with exhausted faces. Nobody looks proud anymore. The captain himself has changed. His beard has grown longer. Dark circles surround his eyes. He sleeps with a pistol beside him every night. Even he no longer believes in the dream he once sold to desperate young men. Every sail on the horizon creates fear, not excitement. Merchant ships avoid you. Naval ships hunt you. Even other pirate crews cannot be trusted. The ocean has become a place where everyone is your enemy. One evening, you stand alone at the bow, watching the endless sea disappear into the setting sun. You remember the day you first stepped aboard this ship. You imagined freedom. You imagined wealth. You imagined stories you would one day tell your children. Instead, you have watched friends die. You have buried men at sea. You have taken lives. You have nearly lost your own. The treasure you earned sits inside a small leather pouch beneath your hammock. You take it into your hands. For a long moment, you simply stare at it. The gold is real. The silver is real. The coins are exactly what you once dreamed of. Yet somehow, they feel completely worthless, because every coin reminds you of someone who never made it home. You slowly close the pouch. For the first time, you understand something no pirate recruiter will ever tell you. Treasure can buy comfort. It can buy food. It can buy fine clothes. But it cannot buy back the people you lost. It cannot erase fear. It cannot give you another chance. The ocean stretches endlessly before you, silent, beautiful, unforgiving. And as the last light of the day disappears beyond the horizon, you quietly admit the truth to yourself. You did not find freedom. You simply traded one prison for another. The next morning, the sea is unusually calm. No wind, no waves, only silence. For most people, it would seem peaceful. To you, it feels unsettling. The captain stands alone at the stern, watching the horizon. He hasn't spoken much in days. Neither has anyone else. The crew moves slowly across the deck, exhausted, hungry, broken. This is no longer the fearless crew that left the harbor months ago. This is a group of survivors. Around noon, the lookout suddenly shouts, "Land!" Every head turns. For the first time in weeks, excitement returns. Not because of treasure, not because of another ship, simply because it is land. Fresh water, food, solid ground, things you once took for granted. As the island grows larger, the captain gathers the crew. There will be no raid. The announcement surprises everyone. We take water, we repair the ship, and then we leave. Nobody argues, nobody complains. Even the most violent pirates seem relieved. When your feet finally touch the beach, the feeling is almost overwhelming. The ground doesn't move. The air smells different. The silence feels real. You kneel for a moment, running your fingers through the warm sand. You hadn't realized how much you missed solid ground. Some of the crew begin repairing sails. Others collect fresh water. Others search for fruit and game. For the first time in months, nobody is fighting. As evening approaches, you sit alone beneath a palm tree, watching the pirate ship anchored offshore. It suddenly looks different, not powerful, not impressive, just old, damaged, tired, almost like the men aboard it. You open the small leather pouch one last time. The stolen coins glimmer in the fading sunlight. You remember how desperately you wanted them, how impossible they once seemed. Now, you would trade every single coin for one ordinary day back home, a warm meal with your family, a quiet night in your own bed, a future that didn't depend on violence. You finally understand what poverty never taught you. There are things far more valuable than money. The captain's voice breaks the silence. We sail at sunrise. You look toward the ship, then toward the endless island stretching inland. For the first time, a dangerous thought enters your mind. You could stay, disappear into the wilderness, start over. If the crew finds you, they will hunt you. If they don't, you might finally be free. The sun slowly disappears below the horizon. Darkness begins covering the beach. You take one final look at the pirate ship. Tomorrow, you must make the most important decision of your life. Stay, or sail back into a nightmare that never truly ends. Years pass. The ocean is now only a memory, sometimes a beautiful one. More often, a painful one. Your hair has begun to gray. The scars on your hands have faded. But the memories never do. People still ask about your time at sea. They ask about treasure, about battles, about famous pirates. They expect exciting stories, stories filled with adventure, freedom, glory. You usually disappoint them, because those are not the stories you remember. You remember the hunger, the fear, the sleepless nights, the smell of wet wood and gunpowder, the sound of waves crashing against a ship filled with men who no longer trusted each other. You remember the faces, the young sailor who stood beside you during your first battle, gone before sunset, the friend buried beneath the sea after a fever no one could cure, the merchant sailor whose terrified eyes looked exactly like yours. You still wonder what became of his family. History remembers pirates differently. Books speak of buried treasure. Songs celebrate legendary captains. Stories turned pirates into heroes. Reality was never that kind. Most pirates were not legends. They were hungry men, poor men, desperate men. Men who believed the sea offered a better life. For most of them, it offered only a different way to suffer. Many never became rich. Many never saw home again. Many disappeared beneath the waves without anyone remembering their names. The ocean keeps its secrets. Perhaps that is the greatest lie ever told about piracy. Freedom? You believed you would be free. Instead, you lived by the captain's orders, by the weather, by hunger, by fear, by luck. You escaped one prison, only to enter another. Would you survive as a pirate? Perhaps. For a while. You might survive the storms, you might survive the battles, you might survive the navy. But surviving is not the same as living. Every voyage would take something from you. Your innocence, your compassion, your friends, your peace. Until one day, you would no longer recognize the person staring back at you. The treasure was real. The gold existed. But it was never free. Every coin carried a price, paid in blood, paid in fear, paid in lives. As the sun slowly disappears beyond the horizon, you realized something your 17-year-old self could never have understood. The richest people are not always those with the most gold. Sometimes, the richest people are simply those who get to go home. Tonight, the sea is calm, the wind is gentle. The horizon stretches endlessly before you. No cannon fire, no screams, no black flags, only silence. And perhaps that silence is the greatest treasure you ever found.